time for questions and comments.
Thank you very, very much with your colleagues there, and also from our side, I forgot to thank our friends who's supporting us out of Riyadh, the people of Medianet, Prince Sultan program for medical and educational connection or telecommunication. Although we managed to get most of your presentation, I believe we have so many in terms of questions and comments here, or from the brothers here, or from the sisters in Al Qura, or from the brothers and sisters in Riyadh. I hope we will be able to manage taking those one by one in the time left for us before we switch to the next presenter.
Okay.
So we will start by limiting, please, if there is any direct questions or comments. Well, I think we have a wireless microphone. Okay. We have a gentleman here who would like to ask you a question or add a comment. Go ahead.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله، نشكر الأخوان والجامعة على هذه الندوة. والسؤال الآن يعني هل أصبح التعليم عن بعد مطلب كمالي، أو بات التعليم الإلكتروني عن بعد حاجة ملحة في ظل تسارع حجم المعلومات الهائل والانفجار التقني؟
Okay. If I may translate this question into English, the question were about how important the e-learning nowadays. Is it still, is it an essential part of the educational process, or maybe it's still just an added component or something fancy, like a dream, not an essential part of how do you perceive this, Dr. Badr?
Well, e-learning is all over. In fact, it's no longer a fancy term, because like in George Washington University, when I was there, we were offering a complete Masters in Education Technology program in online, and the students come from all over the world. And it's not because that to show that we are using technology, because of the need. The learners are different these days. They want flexibility, and the sum of the part of e-learning is so useful. For example, if you want to do tutorials in the class, a professor will be tired, but in a computer-based interactive, people can, as many times they can do it, and that is the part that would like. So you see what I mean? You just have to do the good calculation. What is good for e-learning and what is not good for e-learning? Let me give an example. A medical professor can operate, do a surgery on a patient. The medical students can see it, so it will be a demonstration purposes. But when the medical students want to operate on the patient, they have to touch the blood and understand the patient. In that case, you have to do the real operation. So for the e-learning in that case is good for demonstration when they're seeing how it's been performed, but when you do it, you have to do it by using your hand. So face-to-face classes is needed. E-learning can be supplemental to the face-to-face classes if the content is good, subject matter is good. But it is possible if you design it based on this 8-dimension issues that I talked about. If it's meaningful, then that e-learning will be good. But if you don't go through these issues, then if you just digitize it, it's going to be fancy and people will not enjoy it. But e-learning is real. It's happening all over the world from places that I've been speaking. I was in Nepal last month, and they are using e-learning. I was in Bangladesh. They are using e-learning based on the capacity and resources they have.
Yeah, Dr. Badr, I think before we switch to the next question, I would like just to emphasize a very important remark here that I would like to emphasize. When we are talking about e-learning and distance learning, from your title that I saw in the presentation, as if you divide it between those two things. And in fact, maybe, in my opinion, you put e-learning ahead of distance learning. You have to have a well-developed system of e-learning, and then you can go into distance. Unless you have the first, you cannot get the second, to the second. So maybe it will be good to elaborate on that after we take the question now from the audience here.
Bismillah wassalat ala rasulillah. Many thanks to the organizers and to the guest speaker. E-learning or total e-learning is an essential issue here. We are in a society where identity of learners must be double checked and checked. So what is the cultural answer for those who are questioning the issue of identity of learners in the total e-learning option? And thank you.
Did you get the question?
Yes. Gentleman was talking about e-learning and the identities. It is true. Even in the testing, when you give tests through the e-learning, and how do you know who is taking the test? So there are obviously issues, because you need to, that's what the octagon helps you, that is that going to be a problem in your institution? Then you have to come up with ideas to identify whether these students really doing the work. So your design, the pedagogical design of the courses will be different. You have to design in such a way one can take it any place, anywhere, and can learn. Is it possible to learn that way? So that then there you don't have an identity crisis, because your design of the content for open learner and the distributed cognition, meaning that your resources distributed all different kind of areas and places. So the mentality, that's what you have to have a mindset change. If you're looking into that, well, is the students learning? The identity of the students, is the students who says he is taking the course, or a student says who is taking the test. So beside that, there are many issues. You need to identify if your content is designed, subject and e-learning designed such a way that you don't have those kind of issues. So if you ask the question like multiple choice of question, so there is a tendency to people to call each other and say, what is the answer for that question? But if you do the project-based, portfolio-based, practicum-based, they will be collaborating, and there will be question of cheating. So yes, identity will be a problem. I think if you put the learner at the center of the octagon, then you fulfill this need. Other thing, the culture that we are so used to of face-to-face classes, traditional classes, and we want to see our students come to the class. But e-learning, one time I remember one person in the United Arab Emirates, in Abu Dhabi, was telling that Dr. Khan, we are trying to bring students in the class, but if we use e-learning, we never know they come to the class. So that's a very, very valid question. But when you design it with them in mind and change the mindset of people, inform the parents, inform the community, the new type of e-learning, they're still learning, but they're learning in their own time in a flexible way. And the courses are designed very meaningfully, and it should be as good as face-to-face classes. I don't know if I answered it right, but the question was very good.